Hello, ladies. Hello, hello, hello. Hello to everyone. All right, so let's get this party started today. I thought this is a topic that I've wanted to discuss for quite some time, let me say, first of all. And I think it's an important topic to discuss because there are a lot of matriarchs in the world. You know, those are our older aunties, those are our mothers, our grandmothers, those people who pass down traditionalism to us, who pass down our morals, our values. And as we become adults, then we have to decide, how we're going to live our lives. But here's the thing. We live in a society today where the aunties and the grandmas are being pushed out, and in replace of our grandmas, our aunties, our church members, those women that we look up to as role models, those women are being replaced with Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, the City Girls, level up channels that basically tell you to become a prostitute, like you have to become a prostitute to get a man to provide for you. That is very hilarious to me. And it's the most sick, disgusting, sad thing that is happening on the internet. Now, don't get me wrong. I like some of those level up channels. I like some of those channels that no channel is 100% bad. Okay. Let me be clear on that. There is no one that has a page that I have found that is 100% like bad morals, bad values. Everybody has good in them. Even the most wicked, evil people on the planet have good in them. Okay. That's why God can come into our hearts and he can change us. He can change our sinful behavior. He can change the way we've always done things. All right. And as believers, we know that. So nobody is bad 100%. So I do watch some of these level up channels, and I do not watch them, but I'll see what's going on, what messages are being put out there to our young women. So today I want to talk about the concept of wanting a traditional man, but you don't want to be a traditional woman. And I want to be clear, I'm not going to go deep into what a traditional woman is outside of the concept of a biblical principle, okay? Because depending on the man that you are with, he may want certain things from you. He may want certain things from you as far as you run the household. He may want certain things from you as far as how you guys are going to build together. And I know a lot of level up channels tell y'all you don't build with the man, but that's ignorant. Yes, you do. You may not be building with him as far as being equal with him financially. We're not talking about necessarily finances, but you are going to build with your husband, and you are going to build with your kingdom. Whether it be you're building as a mom and y'all have created a family, whether it be you're building to come together to be a power couple, you're investing, you have your finances mixed. In any true traditional married couple, our finances are 100% mixed. There is no separation in traditionalism. Now, does that mean I don't have my own account, my own business account, and an account that my husband has, and we have separate ways that we run our household? No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't matter if you have a separate account. It doesn't matter how you do finances in your household. The point is, my husband has access to all of my resources, and I have access to all of his resources. And we do nothing without consulting each other first, because we're building together. No matter who makes the money, no matter who doesn't make the money, no matter who makes more money, because we live in a modern society where women are making a lot of money. Not most of us, statistically. I know y'all want to believe that every woman is a boss, but the average woman is making anywhere between $30,000 to $35,000. In particular, Black women. Okay, if you're going to break it down even into race, the average woman is not a boss. She is a worker. She is an employee. Okay, nothing wrong with being an employee, but this idea that all women are boss and they make more money than men, Overall, men still make more money than women, statistically. That's not the topic of this video. What I'm trying to say is when women tell you you don't build with men, I think what they're trying to say is you don't build up a man financially, which is fine. But when you're married, everything goes in one pot. No matter who's making whatever, everything goes in one pot. That's a different conversation for another day. I am going to do a video called What is a Provider? Because I think a lot of these online delusional pages would have you think that a provider is someone who spoils you, who takes you shopping and on luxurious trips all of the time. And that is not what a provider is. I can say that because I actually get those things. I will have a Gucci unboxing on my Naturally Fashionable channel coming up that my husband purchased. Yes, he does spoil me, but that is not providing. That is him loving me, giving me a gift. So I will have a separate video about what a provider is so that you guys aren't confused by the internet and TV, and then you end up having no man for the rest of your life. Because those of us who are feminine women, we crave men. We crave masculinity. We're sexual creatures. We need to have a man in our life because we're not going to live in sexual sin. And we're not going to procreate with men who are not our husbands. And if we have done that, we know it wasn't right and we're not going to do it again. So let's move on into the topic of traditionalism. A lot of women, because we live in a modern society, a lot of us are confused when we get married, including me. When I first got married, I didn't know how to be a wife. I didn't understand what it really meant to be a wife. I had a good start because both me and my husband came from two-parent homes. So we had an idea of, let me add, two-parent Christian homes. We were equally yoked. I did not marry someone that I am unequally yoked with. We were always equally yoked. We might have been at different, and still, as a married couple, he might be on page 5 sometimes. I might be on page 10. He might be on page 20. I might be on page 50. But we're in the same book, okay? We're in the same book. He's not on book A and I'm on book B. No, we're in the same book. And we're in this together. And our values and our morals and how we live our life and how we stay married really is based in our traditionalism and our biblical standards. That is why we have a successful marriage, because we have rules and we have guidelines. And when one of us steps outside of those guidelines, the other one checks the other one, okay? So a lot of you are confused. You think that you're going to get with the man, you're educated, you have your career, because we're successful now as women. A lot of us, we don't need no man. But we do, though. That's a different video, too. Different video. I promise you I'm going to stay on topic. I promise you. And because we live in a modern day society, I was just telling my husband this morning, and I know my husband, I must get on his nerves because I'm always telling him ideas that I have for Wifey for Lifey and my platforms. And he's such a good sport, but I know he's thinking to himself, don't you have a friend to tell this to? I don't care, but he's so sweet and he pretends like he cares and he's listening to me. And I was just telling him this morning, like, I think that women don't understand how to translate the Proverbs 31 woman into a modern day society woman, a woman that's educated, a woman that may need to work outside of the home or that may choose to work outside of the home, a woman that brings in her own income, a woman that is confident, a woman that is independent in certain ways, meaning like you don't need your husband for every little thing. Like a man wants you to be self-sufficient, but we're interdependent. Me and my husband, we are interdependent and we depend on each other. We depend on each other for support. We depend on each other for companionship. We depend on each other for our spiritual journey. We support each other in that area. We support each other in being good people and living Christ-like. And yeah, we miss the mark a lot of times, but we're always having these conversations about how can we be better? Like, how can we be better people? How can we have a better marriage? How can we treat people better? How can we just be better? We're always having these conversations all the time. And I think that in today's society, it is hard for the young woman to understand, well, how do I become a virtuous woman? How do I become a Proverbs 31 woman? And I'm modern, like I have an education, I have my own career, but I'm still traditional. I want that man to like pull out my chair and open my door and, be chivalrous towards me. And I want him to, no matter what he makes, I want him to be a hard worker. I want him to be ambitious. And I want him to always protect me and make sure that I have food on the table. I want my man to want that for me, not because I can't get it for myself. I think, ladies, you're confused about why you have this desire to have masculinity in your life and why we desire providers, even though we can provide for ourselves. I think some of you are conflicted, and I was too. As a newly married woman, my parents told me, go get your education, go be great, be independent, don't depend on anyone for your success, for your livelihood. And I still believe that today, which is why I'm so ambitious. I get lazy sometimes, but my husband's always there pushing me, telling me, you're passionate about this. Go explore the world. Do what makes you happy. He's always on my case, telling me, get organized, do what makes you happy, spread your message because there's a place for you. And so I think as women, especially as a young woman, when you're being sent so many different messages from other women, from society, from men, you don't know why you want a provider. You don't know why you want a masculine man. You can't really put your finger on why you want that, why you want that security, why you want that marriage license. So sometimes you buy into different philosophies that you don't want. You're a traditional woman. Let me tell you, there is no doubt. If you're traditional, you feel it in your head, you feel it in your heart, you feel it in your soul, and there's always going to be a pull for you to be around and be loved by a masculine man. And when you fight it, you're just fighting yourself. So, what's the answer to this? I'm going to play a clip from Immortal Minds. I really like his channel. Granted, we have very different philosophies about life in some ways, and in some ways we are very similar in our beliefs about life. I would say he's MGTOW. I'm not sure if I don't want to say that he's a MGTOW person. I don't know that, but I will say that he has MGTOW philosophies. MGTOW is what, babe? I do that all the time. What's men going their own way? Men going their own way, okay? Which I love some of the philosophies of MGTOW, to be quite honest with you. I think some of them are they go into the extreme lane of things, but men going their own way is based in some truth, okay? I don't believe in all of their philosophies, obviously because they're unbiblical sometimes, all right? So I don't know if Immortal Minds is MGTOW, but a lot of men who follow him are MGTOW. And he recently did a video called The Hybrid Woman. And essentially, the hybrid woman is the modern day woman who wants the traditional man, but she doesn't understand what her role is as a traditional woman. And what I say to all the men out there is, you have to be patient with women because we are not being taught. Now, I'm an older woman. I'm saying, like, when I first got married and I was 23 years old, I was not taught how to be a modern, traditional woman. I was not taught. The baby boomers let us down in that area. They didn't mean to. It's not judgment against the baby boomers. But the baby boomers failed us in the area of teaching us how to be wives. Those of us who really are traditional, but we're educated, we're cultured, we're well-rounded. How then do we go home and be submissive to our husbands? Oh, the dirty word, right? Submission. Calm down. Submission only means respect. It just means a different form of respect for men than it does for women. Women, traditional women, feel respect through being loved and how we are treated. Traditional men feel respect through how you talk to them, how you treat them, and all of that. So submission is just respect. Calm down. Some of you ladies are crazy. You start convulsing when you hear the word submission, and you just need to calm down and learn about what it means, and learn that really it's not even for the man. You think it's for the man, it's for you, so that you can get into that man's heart and soul and be influential in his life the way he is influential in your life. So calm down. Stop convulsing when you hear the word submission, feminists. Calm down. All right. So back to the non-traditional women who want to be traditional. Ladies, I know why you feel this way. It's because we are wired to be traditional. It's why God created sex. It's why God created marriage. It's why God created companionship. It's why God created all of these things, because as women, we are wired to be traditional. We're wired that way. And so you are a strong, I can do it on my own, independent woman, but you can't stay married. And this is why you can't stay married. I've been there. It's because you're conflicted. You don't understand how to be a traditional wife and still hold down your own identity and your own role as a modern day woman. The idea that a traditional woman is a woman that doesn't work is also false. Traditional women still work, but they may work in their homes and they may work in non-traditional roles. Every woman has to work. Every woman. Stop listening to this delusional stuff. Every woman has to work. Whether your work is a mother, whether your work is in the household, taking care of the meals or whatever it is, however you and your husband, maybe your husband does the meals, whatever it is, every woman has to work. The Proverbs 31 woman worked. Now, let's talk about traditional women who don't want to be, no, not traditional women, non-traditional women who don't want to be traditional, but you want a provider. You want a man that's masculine, that's secure, that's going to fight through the good and the bad with you, that's going to accept your moods, that's going to stick it out, but you want to boss him around. And you want to tell him, well, I make my own money. You can't tell me what to do. But in the same breath, you will tell him, you are supposed to be a man. You are the provider. Ladies, you are confused. Let's take a look at Immortal Minds and see what he says about the hybrid woman.
What we're dealing with today is the hybrid woman, right? And the hybrid woman is a woman that's straddling the fence, right? One leg is in I want to be a supporting cast, I want to be a wife, I want to be this, I want to do all this stuff that the wife ain't did, right? But I want to get that bag at the same time, right? And the thing is this, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's what most women are in today's society. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. My thing is this. My thing is, I don't understand how you can talk about marriage and this hybrid woman in the same sentence. And I'll tell you why, right? Because like I said, this hybrid woman, she straddles the fence. On one end of the spectrum, she still wants that manly man. I want a man to take care of me. I want a man to hold me down. I want him to do man responsibilities. I want him to pay the bill. I want him to do all the things that man is supposed to do. But at the same time, I want to be a bad chick. I want to get that bag. I want to build my empire, right? So that's where the confusion comes in with me. So when you hear me talking about why I don't want real marriage, this is what I'm talking about, right? So in a nutshell, when I'm talking about marriage, when I'm talking about the hybrid woman of today, right? It's not me saying I'm against marriage. Again, it's me saying that today's women have outgrown legal marriage, right? Because really what they've done is they've been able to check all boxes. On one hand, they have a man that's giving them the love and checking all the boxes of whatever a man is in their life. And two, they've been able to build their own security, right? So to discuss marriage and hybrid woman is almost like it's just pointless, right? But what you're also saying in today's hybrid woman is due to the fact that she's straddling the fence, it makes her, a trick of both trades, but a master of none. So that's one of the things that we see with this hybrid woman. She's trying to do.
Okay, so I hope you guys could hear that. I didn't show you the channel, but I will show you the channel now. I'll share my screen. You can find this video on the Immortal, and I will put the link in the description box. You can find this channel. This is Conversations with Soul. He has I think 2 channels. I'm not sure, but I do like his content. This is not a bash video. This is not, I don't like his channel. Like, no, this is not that. I really do like his channel. Like I said, I don't agree with all his philosophies, but you can find this channel here on YouTube, and I will link it below. I do love some of his content. I do think he's a very intelligent person, but I'm, with some of his content, I think it's on point, and some of it might be a bit jaded, but I wanted to share because I wanted to respond to this idea of the hybrid woman. And I think he's correct about this. And then I'm going to tell you why I think he is correct. And then I'm going to wrap up the video.
Play both sides of the court, but then let's try to spread the energy into different direction. It really makes a lot of these women just, like I say, they're trying to train one master of another.
So basically, he's saying that women have advanced to the point where we have this idea of what is yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. Now, how many of you ladies are going to be honest and say that that is how we were when we first got married? Even if it's subconsciously, it's not like deliberate. I was telling my husband today that I think I was guilty of this mindset when I first got married. And I think ultimately it would have possibly destroyed my marriage, or ultimately it would have never brought me the love and the security that I was really desiring from my husband, but I didn't know that that was exactly what I was desiring. Because when you're dating and you fall in love, it's all about being in love and dating, especially when you're young. And it's not about money per se, not the way we're taught now in today's modern society. I always knew I was going to date someone on my level or above me, and that's what I did. So all this, hypergamy talk is something you're taught in your home with your parent. It's not something that you can learn on a YouTube channel. Okay, it's something that has to be ingrained in you. How to date, how to pick someone that's on your level or above. So I do want to say that this was a mentality that I had, when I first got married. The mentality was, you bring home your check. Yes, of course, I'm going to, and this is when I was working full time. You guys know I don't work anymore. I'm a stay-at-home wife, and I have multiple different financial endeavors that I dive in, but essentially I don't have a traditional job anymore. But at that time, I had just graduated from college. I was ambitious. I thought I could change the world by being a teacher. That's a different story for another day. And I was, I don't even know if my husband knew I had this mentality, because I sure didn't share it with him, that what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. That's not something that I said out loud, but that's how I was. And here's the thing. He was trying to take nothing from me. It wasn't like he was like, where's your 50% of the rent? He was never like that. There was no even reason for me to have this idea that I have to have a little stockpile of my own, and I got to have this money, and it has to be separated, because what happens if he leaves me, and what happens if he divorces me? And here's the thing. Even if my husband left me, who is the provider, even if he left me, I have what's called an education. I can support myself. That's why my parents sent me to college. So there was no need to do that as a married woman. Because as a married woman, you go all in. And when you marry the right man, that man is going to want to step up, be the leader in the household. You have to give him time. You have to give people time to become who they're meant to be. But he's going to step up. He's going to be that man in your house. And so I feel like for me, some of it was immaturity. Some of it was just, I didn't know. We didn't have YouTube like that at this time, where you could go on YouTube and there's a million people talking about love and romance and dating and, anything you were into. It wasn't quite as popular at that time. So all I had was what my parents were doing. And you know how baby boomers are. They don't tell their business. They're not like us. They don't go online and tell the mistakes that they made and share what happened to them. And it's not because they're bad people. It's just they were raised in a different time where you don't share. You don't share these things. And so I had a selfish mentality like that. Like, what was mine, and what was his was ours. And no woman will ever verbalize that she's like that. But here's the thing. A lot of you ladies are like that. That's why you cannot attract a provider. A lot of you ladies are like that. Because let me tell you, when I stopped, what happened to my life when I stopped doing that. Let me tell you what God did for my life and what my husband did for my life when I changed. And when I stopped thinking, oh, I need to stockpile this little thing, because what if something happens? What if he loses his job and he needs me to step up? And, all these things that I thought were being helpful, which was really controlling. And if there's one thing men cannot stand, traditional men, if it's one thing they cannot stand, it's a controlling woman. And so I was trying to be controlling in my own little way. I didn't look at it as that, but I was. But here's what happened. When I stopped thinking, well, this is mine, this is yours, and you need to do this, and I should be doing this. Here's what happened. I got even more. Okay? I got more. So while I was thinking, I need to do this because, you always got to have something for yourself. You always got to have something that you're, and it wasn't necessarily that I was hiding money, but it was, I wasn't being transparent. I will say that. I wasn't being transparent. And so now when I look back, and this was many, many, many years ago, but now when I look back at my mentality that I had at that time, and I look at my life now, and I look at the fact that my husband doesn't even care about what I make as an entrepreneur. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if I make $10,000 a month or if I make $1 a month. He doesn't care because he knows we're in this thing together. That no matter what happens, we're in this thing together. And that I'm going to be there because I picked the right man. I picked a responsible man who would never not work unless he was sick, who wouldn't even think of losing a job. And if he did, he's educated and qualified to get another one. So what God revealed to me was when I started actually trusting the man that I was married to, then I'm able to bring out the best in him and vice versa. And he's able to bring out the best in me when he trusts me. And now there's nothing that I lack or nothing that I want or nothing that I cannot get if I'm willing to put the work in. I'm educated. I am a strong woman, but I don't have to operate in that role in my marriage. In the workplace, that's one thing. But in my marriage, I can fall back and be that traditional woman, even as an educated woman, even as a woman who had a career or who has a career. Because what I bring to the table financially is not the issue. My husband really could care less what I bring to the table financially. You know why? Because everything I bring to the table is ours. And everything he brings to the table is ours. And there is no mine and there is no yours. And I still get bags, trips, and gifts, which is not providing. I add again, the trips, the bags, and the gifts is not providing. That is my husband spoiling me if he so chooses to do so. It's not a rule. Okay? You ladies are letting these women confuse you about what providing is. You're also letting them confuse you about your role as a traditional woman and what the type of woman you need to be to attract a man that is masculine, that loves you, that is a provider. You can't have it both ways, okay? You can't tell a man, you are the provider, I have my own education and I make my own money, but you need to pay these bills and you need to support my empire and what I'm building. And you need to take out the trash because that's what men do. And you need to mow the lawn. And you have no rules that you have set for yourself as a traditional woman. What makes you a traditional woman? A lot of you know what makes a man a traditional woman. This is a different video because I'm about to wrap it up now. But what makes you a traditional woman? These are the women talking about their degrees. I won't get a man unless he's on my level. He has to be a provider. He has to pay these bills in here. He has to support me. He has to deal with all my mood swings. He has to deal with my children from a previous relationship, some of you. He has to deal with, my baggage, my emotional baggage, my abuse that I'm bringing into this relationship. If you didn't marry young, with a little less baggage. A lot of you have some baggage. And then you're turning around and you're telling this man, yes, and be my provider, be my lover, be good in bed, blow my back out, pay these bills, love me, make me feel secure. And you have a list a mile long for these men. And all I'm asking is, where is your list of what you are contributing? Where is your list? So in a marriage, if you think a man in 2020 is going to be your provider, and you're going to tell him what's mine is mine and what's yours is ours, you are a complete fool. It is not going to happen. And if it does, it's not going to last. You don't present yourself like that to a man, because at the end of the day, a man is going to tell you, go on, babe, work, do what you want, work. And he's really going to be very uninterested probably in, what you contribute financially. As long as the bills are paid and things are fine, a masculine man is going to be very uninterested in what you are bringing to the table, like financially. But he is going to want you to be financially literate. He is going to want to know your credit score. He is going to be concerned about how you spend. And when you tell your husband, well, don't worry about how I spend because I make my own money. Well, now you're telling him you're not a traditional woman. Because when you're married, you don't make your own money. Every bit of money you make is for the household. That is the attitude of a traditional woman. The attitude of a traditional woman is, I take care of my home, I take care of my children, my home is my priority, my husband is my priority. There is no other priority over my family. My husband is the head. I am the co-pilot. He's the pilot. I am the co-pilot. I chose this man because he is competent. He has high moral character. He loves God. He loves himself. Therefore, he knows how to love me. And I believe in him. Even when he falls off, I'm not talking about cheating. We don't stay with cheaters. We don't condone cheating. Me and my husband are very verbal about the fact that we do not believe adultery is a mistake. We don't support adultery. We don't support polygamy. No shade to anyone or any cultures or any religions who dive into polygamy, but that is not a Christian principle. And for all you people who want to say polygamy is a Christian principle, just because it's a story in the Bible, it is not telling us that that's what God believed we should do. Women were raped in the Bible. Do you believe God is saying go out here and rape women? The Bible is full of stories that we are supposed to use to guide our life. They're not supposed to be taken and said, oh, well, he had 3 wives. So I think that means that men should have 3 wives. God is very clear in the scripture that marriage is between one man and one woman. So please, those of you who are struggling with some of the concepts, because the Bible is rated R. It's so good. It's rated R. It's full of everything that we face in this life, every evil thing you see, everything. It's right there in the Bible. It's happened before. Get with someone, get into a church that's not running around and falling on the floor, and get into a church that actually preaches the word of God and how to actually live your life by these principles so that you can understand the Bible. And also ask God to reveal to you what the word is saying so that you are not deceived. Even there's some things I don't understand. Obviously, I am no guru. I am no expert. I am just someone with life experience who is here to share a message. So if you are a woman, a successful woman, my husband loves me to be successful. I remember my first big blogging check that I got. Maybe it was $2,000. It wasn't, I guess it wasn't that big looking back now, but maybe it was a $2,000 check. I remember my first big blogging check that I got. And I was just so excited. And I was telling, my husband, oh my gosh, I'm actually making money as a blogger. Like, this is a job. Like, I'm actually making money now. And never once did he say, where's my portion? Okay. So all of you who are scared that if you come in with the attitude that you are, everything is ours, that the man is going to make you start paying your 50% and you're going to be a 50-50 woman. Well, this is why you cannot get anything from your husband. This is why you cannot get trips. This is why you cannot get gifts. If he has the means to do it, and if he is financially able to do it. This is why you can't get dinners, because you are selfish and you are saying you are a traditional woman, but you are not. You are a worldly, feminist, hybrid woman. And the men can see right through you. Because that is who I was. I was never a feminist. I always loved men, and I always knew my husband was the head of not even the home. That's not the scripture. The man is the head of the woman. It doesn't say the man is the head of the home, just to be clear. The man is the head of the woman. It means that I am the pilot, the co-pilot, okay? Sometimes the co-pilot has to take over when the pilot can't take over. So if my husband is sick, if he's going through some type of issue, then I have to step in and fill in the gap, because that's what marriage is. Marriage is just not the highs. Everything's good. The money's good. Life's good. Nobody's sick. Marriage is sticking in there when it's not so good. When you have a bad attitude, but your husband still has to love you. When he has a bad attitude, but you still have to love him and stick it out. You can't be a feminist and a traditional woman at the same time. And when I say feminist, I'm not speaking of the feminism that we need, such as women are, should be equally educated. Women should have access to jobs and careers, but we are not men. We are women. And we should not be trying to operate in the role of men. We should be using all of the perks that come with being a woman. But because you ladies want to be men, you're not going to find providers. Providers are far and few between. The average man that you're going to meet now in American culture is going to expect you to bring your 50% to the relationship. And you know what, ladies? You can pat yourself on the back for that. You can pat yourself on the back for men now looking at you as a partner instead of a feminine woman who he has to look after. You can pat yourself on the back for that, because the attitude that you have, that you don't need a man, he's not no leader over you. He doesn't, you don't even want to learn the psychology of men, how to deal with men, how to talk to men. You think it's about you. You're hiding money. You're building up debt. You're shopping when you know you shouldn't be shopping. You're overspending. You're overextending yourself. You picked the wrong person. Now you're mad. And you're calling all these men broke and dusty when you married the dusty. Ladies, we have to get it together. And I'm speaking from experience. There was a transformation that I had to have as a woman, and I'm still having it. And you know what this transformation has done for me? It has put me into my femininity. It has put me out of the traditional work environment where I have to wake up every morning at 5. My husband still wakes up at 5 every morning. I just love to see his dedication to his job and what he's doing. It's not because he loves it so much. It's because he's responsible. You have to marry someone who's responsible, but men also want you to be responsible. Are you responsible with money? And you can't say you want a provider and hide your money. What idiot do you think is going to accept that? I hope you don't think a masculine man is going to accept you saying, your money is mine, but don't ever look at mine. It doesn't mean he's going to touch it or he wants to spend it. It means that when you enter marriage, you have to enter marriage with the mindset that everything is ours. The man and the woman. And this is why marriage is unsuccessful. because people go into marriage with the wrong heart, the wrong mindset, and they think they need to shout to the sky, I want a provider. How pathetic is that for any woman to be online having to verbalize she wants a provider? What you are telling me is you don't even know how to attract a man that is competent. Why should anyone have to tell a man, I want a provider? You should be attracting a provider by your behavior. That is an idiotic statement. And ladies, when men hear you say this, I want a provider, you know what they're doing? They're Xing you off the list. That is not something you should be verbalizing in public spaces. I know what you mean. I know some of you ladies have a good heart. You're not saying, I want a man that can take me on jets and take me to travel around the world. If he can do that, that's nice. But I make my own money. If I want to travel, I can travel. I know you guys are not saying, you want unrealistic standards. Most of you ladies, you're good. You have a good heart. And what you mean by you want a provider is you want to go home and you want there to be food in the refrigerator. Okay. You want to come home and you want the lights to be on. You don't want to have to live check to check. You want a responsible man that wants to make you feel secure. That essentially, it's just all about wanting to feel like a woman. And that has nothing to do with not working. So I really want this message to stop online, that to be a traditional woman means you don't work. Everyone has to work. It's just some women are working at home with their 4 kids, and some women are working at home meal planning, organizing the house. Maybe she organizes the finances, keeps things up, lets her husband know this has to be paid, this has to be paid. Maybe she is involved in her community. Maybe she has entrepreneur. And it's so easy to make 6 figures from home in today's society if we're willing to work. It's so easy for a woman to easily be bringing in 5 to 6 figures right from her home. You don't even have to leave your home. You can actually raise your own children in today's society if you really want to. So, but some of you are so selfish and you think these men do not see right through you. So stop saying you want a provider. Any provider, if you're single, like I can talk about that because I've been married 14 years. Okay. So when I'm talking about provider or I'm talking about qualities in men, you're talking to someone who has life experience. Okay. There are certain things I can say because I'm a seasoned married woman. I'm not a newly married woman. I haven't been married for 3 years, 4 years. Okay. But when you're single, ladies, and you're online talking about, oh, I need a man to pay these bills. Like, what? That's like red alarm. Because let me tell you something. If you look good, if you are cultured, if you are kind, if you are well-rounded, if you have a reputation, a good reputation, you will have no problems attracting a provider. You will have no problems attracting a man that loves you. But he is not going to want a selfish woman walking around talking about what's mine is mine and what yours is mine. That is a simp. Yes, I said it. That is a simp. That is not a masculine man. That's a simp. So men have no problem loving us, giving us security, spoiling us, if they so choose to do so. They have no problem with doing these things. But they don't want some selfish, non-traditional, hybrid woman who thinks that the man should be traditional and should have to make sacrifices as a traditional man, but you have to make no sacrifice as a woman. And I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about with your attitude, with your communication, with your body language. That's all I have for you, ladies. I would love to hear your thoughts. This was a long one, but I feel like it was needed. And my internet's working good right now, so I'm juicing it for everything it's worth. I will see you in the next video. Bye.